This is Allie Larder from Varsity Blues, Final Destination, and Resident Evil. And you are listening to the Don't Go Out There horror movie podcast.
All 287 passengers are feared dead.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, welcome to the Don't Go Out There horror movie podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There horror movie review podcast. Just want to thank everyone who's been listening and supporting us. We really appreciate it. Before we jump into tonight's film review, we're just going to shout out our social medias. Give us a follow or like or whatever. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at Don't Go Out There. And this week, my guy Brian Hathaway dropped us a website. He dropped the what is it, the Woj bomb or whatever, the NBA guy. He dropped the bomb.
B-Hath bomb, baby.
But check out our website, www.don'tgoouthere.com. It's got a news segment in there. We got some blogs we're writing, just from the heart. Links to all of our episodes, interviews, shout outs we've gotten from celebrities. Y'all go give that website go check it out. It's awesome. Brian did a great job.
Yes.
Tonight is Dustin's first pick.
Hey.
He chose the movie Final Destination. Dustin, go ahead and go first on your general thoughts on this movie, man.
All right. So Final Destination is one of those movies that when I originally watched it, you got to think at the time I'm 12 years old. This movie freaked me out because it's one of those movies that makes you think. It's a psychological thing. You can't cheat death. And so it's just one of those movies that's really stuck with me. And I hadn't watched it in a while, so it was nice to go back and revisit and see how well it held up. I do want to preface this preview by saying that I know there's some mixed feelings, a mixed bag of emotions when it comes to Final Destination because it kind of feels like the script is incohesive. There's scattered thoughts. It doesn't feel like it fits together. There's some scenes that just doesn't make any fucking sense. So I want to preface this by saying, I'm going to drop a fun fact off the rip, as Nico would say. This movie was originally inspired from an X-Files script. It was an abandoned X-Files script that was based on the movie Soul Survivor from 1984. New Line picked it up. They bought the rights, and they brought on James Wong. And then after the movie was completed and sent out for test screenings, they had further alterations by Robert Shea, who was the chairman of New Line. That's why there's times in this movie where you're like, what does that have to do with anything? That doesn't make sense. So for me, on the rewatch, when I'm not 12 years old and I'm nitpicking these things, that's the reason that it's like, okay, it's understandable because they had so many hands in the pot, so many sticks stoking the fire that it makes sense. So I wanted to preface it by saying that. Because overall, if you can put that aside and understand that, I really enjoyed this film. It really makes you think about the whole concept of cheating death.
Mike, you want to go next, brother?
Oh, yeah, sure. So, kind of like Dustin said, that our whole group is a mixed bag on this. My feelings on this is a mixed bag. There's some good. There's some stuff that I like. There's some stuff that doesn't make any fucking sense. But, we kind of addressed that off the top where there was a lot of cooks in this kitchen that put this movie together. And I'm not the biggest Bob Shea guy for a couple reasons. If you watch Never Sleep Again, the Freddy documentary, you'll see why. But anyway, but he kind of is the reason to me that this movie is a mixed bag. There's a lot of different hands on it. James Wong, the director, and the original script writer, they came in, they kind of fucked the script up a little bit. And so there is some scenes that doesn't fit, but there's a lot of good. It's got Allie Larder, which, hey, call me sometime, please. Anytime, still, right now.
You son of a bitch.
Yeah, I'm getting right to it. It has my man Stan, and if you don't know what I mean, it's hey Slim, I wrote you, but you still ain't calling. I left my cell, my pager, and my home phone at the bottom, and then I died in a plane accident. So, I thought that was kind of cool, but no, a lot of good. A lot of bad, a lot of what the fuck. But you made a good point, Dustin. It feels like a not too long, but it feels like a long X-Files episode. It really does. And I don't know if that's good, that's bad. It's got some good deaths. It doesn't have the best deaths in this series. There's some really cool deaths in 2 and one really cool death in 3, but it's got some bad deaths too. So I'm looking forward to breaking it down. I like the movie. I'm not gonna sit here and say I love it though. There's some stuff that doesn't age well, but this is one of those post-Scream teen horror movies that just kind of it's directed right at that age demographic, that 16 to 19-year-old age demo, and it hits well with that at the time, anyways.
Right.
All right, I'll go next. Last week at the end of Jeepers, I kind of said that I'm sure all of us have nostalgia to maybe not this movie, but one of these movies in the franchise, maybe.
Yeah.
I was in high school, junior high, throughout all of these movies. I'm just going to say this. I don't think this is a great watch, but it's a fun watch, if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
it's entertaining. It's not like god awful or nothing, but it's just such a tough concept to get around. But it's fun to watch. It's interesting. I don't hate any of the movies, but I don't love any of the movies in this franchise either. They're all just a fun watch. I think it's acted pretty well, and I honestly didn't know the stuff about all the different hands, in the cookie jar and all that, the X-Files stuff. I didn't look all that up, so that's really interesting to hear. But that's just my general thoughts. Drew, do you want to go next?
Well, mine, my general thoughts are pretty short and sweet because I want to get in the meat of this thing. Lots of notes up in here. I love this movie. I'm also a real big fan of this whole franchise. I love just like the difference the difference in how they do things. Like it hadn't been kind of done before, and just the way they use the kills. The first one not so much, but the rest of them they did. It made it more and more believable in my opinion. I legit never wanted to fly ever again after this movie. And then I got over it.
Allow me to tell that story later about my first slice.
I thought it was shot pretty great. Decent dialogue. There's a lot of things that I put in there that they probably could have left out. There's a lot of stuff that you could just said, okay, no, and just kept going with it. Decent soundtrack to go along with it.
Yes, actually, yes.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, funny Mike said about the demographic, because that's kind of been the last few movies that we've actually gone over and reviewed have been like right in my high school wheelhouse, where I was going to the movies every single weekend, and this was right in there. I was a junior when this came out, so honestly, I like this movie a lot. I can't really speak to the franchise as a whole, honestly, because I've only seen the first two Final Destination movies, and mostly because my infatuation with Ollie Lauder runs deep and has been very well documented on this show. But since she wasn't in the third one, I honestly never gave it a chance. I read that she's referenced in the fifth one, but after the second one, which honestly I like better than this one, I haven't really ventured
tend to agree with
further
you.
into it. I haven't ventured further into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the second one scarred everybody from driving behind a log
I was
truck.
gonna say,
without
the
a
second
doubt.
one not only has one awesome kill, it's got like 3 awesome kills.
If I'm not mistaken, that was all practical effects too. But we're not reviewing that one. We'll just keep going forward. All right, let's jump into the scene by scene. It starts with a title screen and credits. Alex is packing his suitcase with his parents. His dad tells him to live it up. He's in bed now, and I wrote it's windy AF, and he wakes up, and it transitions to them all going to the airport. Their class is going to Paris for a trip. Alex notices the flight board. The times are all switching up a lot. It's kind of weird. Claire drops her book, and when it's handed to her, it's on the page with a car crash. Todd invites Alex to a poop date, and I wrote with stars right beside it, I hate him here, and I hate him 10 years later in Saw 3D.
I was gonna say he sucks in Saw 3D. Fucking hell.
They get a message over the intercom. Their flight is boarding. They start to board the flight. A couple of hot chicks ask Alex to swap seats. The flight takes off, and instantly, not good. Turbulence, and the plane is shaking a lot. Lights flashing on and off. The little breathers, they drop. A row of seats get ripped out of the plane. The plane is engulfed with flames. Alex wakes up to being asked to swap seats, so that was all just a dream. He runs to see if the lap tray in his seat is broken like it was in his dream. He tells everyone it's going to blow up. Alex, Carter, Todd, Claire, Billy, George, and Terry stay off the flight. One teacher is allowed back on. He tells Miss Luton his dream. Alex and Carter fight, and the plane does actually blow up and the windows shatter, and they're all shook up. And I'm going to go into the – let's just go ahead and review that part. Dustin, what's your thought on just the opening scene?
So the opening scene did a great job in my mind of setting the tone for the film. The opening credits, spooky as fuck. And they also did a great job of foreshadowing. There was a lot of ominous features. Like there was the shadow. It looked like a doll was hanging, swinging back and forth. Like the opening credit scene was great. Second of all, you go from great to not so great in my mind. Why the fuck is his dad saying you have your whole life to live it up? Like, that was corny to me. When his dad gave him that little line about you have your whole life to live it up, you didn't need that. Like, fuck out of here, Dad.
It's premonition, pal.
It is premonition, but it also kind of spoils what's going to happen.
It does, right.
Okay, and then, so you fast forward, and they're at the airport, and they're getting off the bus. Sean William Scott, much like Dewey from the Scream franchise. I did that for you. But much like Dewey in the Scream franchise, Billy Hitchcock stole the show from me because he was so fucking funny. He kind of broke the tension of the serious nature of the film. And the amount of times that Billy Hitchcock calls Carter a dick in this film, like I counted at least 5, and I was like, okay, I lost count, but it's great. So you fast forward, and you had the alarm clock in his bedroom switched from 1 a.m. to 1:80 a.m. Then you had the flight board for the departing flight switching from whatever and you saw some flickerings of 180 in there. So here's another fun fact I'll go ahead and drop on you now. The original film title was Flight 180. They changed it because they didn't want it to get lost in the sauce of some of the other movies that were coming out around this time that had flight in the title or airplane in the title, that sort of thing. But the original title was Flight 180. It was all supposed to revolve around that original flight where they died, or at this point they hadn't died. Overall, this scene really set the tone as far as what's going on, what's going to happen, about the premonitions. And I thought, for as far as opening scenes go, this was the shortest opening scene of the franchise. Spoiler alert if you go on to watch the rest of the movies. But I thought it was very effective in setting the tone for the rest of the franchise.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, hey, does everybody remember in the 90s when Devin Sawa was supposed to be some big movie star?
Oh, my God.
That's why he ended up being in Stan, the fucking Eminem music video.
He had like a 2-year run where he was killing shit.
He was.
Yeah, good times. Anyway, the opening isn't bad to me. Overall, it's no Final Destination 2 opening to me. Like, we talked about that a little bit before. To me, that's epic. I mean, you can still see a log truck on the interstate and call it Final Destination. But so when they're in this is a nitpick I had, when they're in the airport, and they have the John Denver plane in the airport, the same Denver obviously that died in the airplane crash, as they say. But I think it's like they think you're too dumb to catch it, so they tell you that out loud, and I hate that. I think it would have been a cool little tidbit to let the audience kind of find out, especially with how much is thrown down your throat in this movie. And I don't know the last time you guys have flown, but the handle breaking down the pull down table in front of Alex, that's by far the worst thing that could possibly happen to you. Much rather have the plane crash. I would much rather that. That's terrible.
Yeah, that's trash.
And something else I did notice, another nitpick or mess up or whatever, but as the plane's like nose diving, all the luggage is flying forwards and not backwards like it should be. Just something else something I noticed. Also, my last little nitpick about this whole first scene is that I think, and this is the whole movie basically, I think that they tried too hard to make Carter a dick. And what I mean by that is like, it's just too over the top. It's just too comic bookish to me, in just my opinion with that.
Go ahead, Drew.
I'm a real big fan of how they brought us into the movie, the beginning part. How they just showed these little things like Dustin said. If you notice, you saw the little hanging man that there. The the subtle sounds that you normally wouldn't hear in a movie are just like shown center stage to kind of give it that eerie feeling. Are they showing us what to come? Probably. And if you notice, they show like the good versus evil on the flipping of the pages, and then at the very end, it says, "This is the end," and it ended it so well. I love that little beginning intro of it. But as far as the beginning part of the scenes, I was like, starting right off the rip with, mom ripping off the tag. Oh, you don't need this. There's one little thing they did that it's gonna make it crazy. I thought Wong and crew did an excellent job of making, like I said, making the subtle noises that we can barely hear become the focal point in the scenes throughout this whole movie. Hello, blue friends. Bunch of hotties right there.
Call me sometime.
And I was sitting there noticing, I was like, as excited as the kids look to be going on this trip, the guy teacher was hella geeked about going on this trip. And
Man,
hello,
going
Miss
to Paris
too, by the way. Hello.
Hello. I was gonna say that the female teacher can also call me sometime.
I
Again,
thought
like I was saying, like with the subtle sounds changed, I really enjoyed how like the ticking time, like was just going around flipping the different flights going in there, and how that they he picked up her magazine and handed it to her, and it was on the Princess Diana wreck, to kind of again foreshadow what's coming. I said, side note, as close as I am with these guys on here, I'm not close enough to them to be carried on a conversation while I shit in public.
Speak for yourself, pal.
Yeah, come on. Who hasn't played a good game of battle shits? Come on.
Everybody's done the battle shits.
As far as my the crash scene part, I was like, my heart rate jumped up a little bit. I think the passengers played it really well. The extras, showing that to just what I feel like would be the scene of a plane going down. They could have left out the blood splatter though. Lame.
All right, so I think these scenes are okay. There's some good. Like, I think the effects for the year 2000 are okay. Like, there's some good stuff there. I'm kind of with Brian, surprise, surprise, where I think the foreshadowing is almost too out there. There's a lot of heavy-handed, hey, look at this, we're trying to tell you something. Yeah. And I like subtlety when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I feel like the Rocky Mountain High could have been used, but not spoken about. Like, that's a plane crash. Like, we don't have to do that. Like, we get, like, if you know, and if you don't, you don't. Okay. Exactly. But again, I actually really love that song, so that's fine. But a note about Sean William Scott is this is like the one movie he's in during this decade where he's not a Stifler-like character. Like, he's in every other movie he's in, he's basically Stifler, and he still says, "Carter, you dick," like Stifler would say. Like, that is Stifler on steroids. But he's
like 12 times.
Right. But he's kind of a not to be mean, but he's kind of a loser in the movie, so he's definitely not Stifler. That's just kind of the role he normally plays. So he stepped outside of the box here. I liked it. So the fear in this scene to me comes from the plane because, again, not a supernatural guy, so premonition of death doesn't really hit with me like it might some other people. But the fear of flying I used to have. Used to be huge, like just would shit my pants to even think about it. Not there anymore, but so I can relate to these people. I can relate to that summer senior year trip, even though ours wasn't Paris, unfortunately. I can be in this whole cast's shoes, and then you put them on a plane, and I can relate to that fear. That used to scare the shit out of me to even think about it. I think the crash scene is good. There's some just your stock character hotties with it must have been cold on that plane because their nipples are out. But that kind of creeps me out. But I don't like that. Well, I guess the premise of the whole movie is to it's a premonition of death. But I hate that that opening fucking plane crash is not real. That that's neither here nor there. Not as good as Final Destination 2, but not bad.
Hey, Dustin, before you go again, I just want to say, Mike, you're talking about the subtleties. That's the difference between James Wong and James Wan.
James
Go ahead,
Wan.
Dustin.
Right. You're not wrong.
Yeah,
by the
no,
way. That's
you're
a
right.
good-
But also, I think that
Wait,
with
did you say
this-
you're not? Did you say you're not Wong?
Oh boy.
Hey, that's
Oh boy.
that's racist.
So no, you're absolutely right in that regard, and I think it all goes back to this movie kind of being such a hodgepodge,
Right.
you
That's
know,
a good
put
point.
together at the last point or at the last minute, really, because after test screenings they made tweaks. But there was another thing that I want to point out, and it kind of plays into the whole what you and Brian touched on there. So the whole scene where he's at the desk and they're like, "Oh, your flight departure time is the same as your birthday,
Right.
9/25, September 25." And then his seat is I-25. I is the ninth letter of the alphabet. Like that's just too much. And then
it is. It's a little too heavy-handed.
and then even when she puts the tag on his bag, they show the close up and it says Final Destination. It's like,
Right.
okay.
So I'm glad you said that, Dustin. I like movies that give me clues throughout that I don't notice upon my first watch.
Yeah.
It has to take a rewatch for me to be like, oh shit, that's cool. This movie, I know they're all on first watch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, got it. Because they tell you.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Like if
Right.
they would have done all that and like just shown that his seat was I-25, and then after the fact you had to actually think about it, I-25 is the ninth letter, 25. That's one thing. The John Denver, if you had to actually realize after the fact, oh, John Denver died in a plane crash, that's one thing. But one of the things that they didn't explicitly call out that is something that you may not have picked up on is when he was actually walking onto the plane, he looked down and that baggage carrier went underneath the walkway there, and you saw a glimpse of it. So on the hood of that baggage carrier, it actually was number 666. So that was well done, because I didn't realize that until. So I watched that movie. I watched this movie 3 times in the past week, because that's typically what I do.
Yeah.
I'll watch it because it's been a while since I've watched it, or I've never seen it. Then I'll watch it again to take notes, and then I'll watch it one more time to see if there's anything I missed. So the third time I watched it this week, I'm like, what did that actually say? So like I paused it, and I see 666 on the hood, and so that makes it make more sense when they pan back to his face, and he's kind of got this puzzled look on his face. It's like, oh, he just saw the fucking devil's number right underneath him as he's getting on this airplane. And one of the things, so you guys have mentioned this in the past. I've never brought him up on this show since I've joined. But when I was watching the dead meat kill count for this video, he made a great point. They kind of went overkill as far as when they're walking on the plane and they're like, oh, crying baby. That's a good sign. You'd have to be a fucked up god to take down this plane.
Right.
That I'm fine with. But then,
Double down.
they showed the handy-capable fella
Yeah.
in the front row.
Yeah.
And then he's like, a really fucked up god. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. Like, why? I get it, but no. And so, yeah, that was one of the things. Shout out to Dead Meat James, because I never really paid attention to that until I watched the kill count video on Dead Meat. And I was like, yeah, you're right, pal. That was overkill. You didn't need that.
And Nico, but before you go again, I'd like to just reiterate, fuck you, Bob Shea. All right. Sorry, go ahead.
Alex and the rest of them are in a holding room. The cops walk in and say the cause of the explosion is still unknown. They're interrogating Alex, asking if he took meds beforehand. They ask the others questions, why they left the plane, etc., etc. Alex's parents and the rest of the parents show up. They all hug and embrace. Clear is dropped off at her house and enjoys getting rained on, I wrote, because she just stands there in the rain. I thought that was kind of funny. Alex is watching the news about the crash. It's really he looks really sad about it. He gets up and he sees lightning strike the street. 39 days after the crash, they're having a memorial service. I wrote, not sure if a big bird is the appropriate statue to honor these people.
I I'm so glad you said that.
Carter and Alex argue. Tells Alex he'll never die. Billy says his driving instructor says he's going to die young. He thinks Alex is psychic. The teacher, Miss Luton, wants nothing to do with Alex. Todd says they'll go on a road trip when this is all over. Todd gives a speech to the service. Now we're getting to death taking over now. Todd's at home now in the bathroom. A gust comes through. He sits on the toilet, and we see the valve behind the toilet is leaking. Alex is in his room and breaks out a Penthouse magazine. Todd starts shaving his baby face for some reason. You see the water from behind the valve creep up closer to him. Now we cut back to Alex's house, and an owl flies by Alex's window, and he chunks the magazine at it, and it gets caught up, and his magazine gets caught in the fan. A piece of the magazine flies back to him, and it just says the name Todd on it. Todd slips on the water, and I wrote that it was that line that the clothes were hanging on, wraps around his neck. I might be wrong about that, but I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
it
you're
wraps
right.
around
good.
his neck.
You're right.
He falls into the tub. He can't reach the scissors, and there's like shampoo all in the tub, so he can't like get his footing to get it out. His eyes turn bloodshot red, and he starts choking to death. And then it shows the water attracting back to the toilet. Alex runs to Todd's house to see the ambulances at his house. Clear tells him to get out of here. Todd's dad asks Alex if he saw it. Says the guilt causes him to take his own life. Drew, you want to go first on those scenes, man, and the first death?
Yeah. So like I'm not a big fan of the FBI guys, and I never really, especially the balding guy. And I wasn't big, but I liked how it was like, and the impending criminal investigation, and then side eyes Alex, just like, yeah, we're looking at you, kid. When the parents come up to pick the kids, and old girl didn't have anyone there to pick her up, dude, pulled at my heartstrings, man. I know how that is sometimes, you get left there alone, nobody come pick you up, you got to depend on friends to take you home. It happens. Yep. And then as far as the news, when they were like, oh, wash the part of the wreckage is already washed ashore in the same night. Nah, not gonna happen. Nitpicking there. I said, perfect timing on the explosion of the plane in the news report, and then the lightning popping at the same time. I thought it was well done there. Then with the memorial, I didn't understand why the FBI was there still, because what were they going to do? Catch the perp returning to the scene of the crime kind of deal? I didn't really understand why they were there. They did a really good job of making it come across of how people were viewing Alex. You had some people that were scared of him. You had some of them who just thought, it was a forecaster of life and death, and and some of them hate him. So I was thrown away by that. I liked how they did that. Excuse me. The Todd death I got down here, I was like, and it begins. The window shuts, blows the doors shut, drip, drip, drip. Alex, my guy, a bit obsessed with, the airplane books and schematics, and then it's like, you know what? Hey, let me take a break from this and read a couple articles in Penthouse.
Read my ass. Spanking one out, pal.
Hey, man, you already know he was reading the articles, bro.
He was spanking it. That's fine, bro.
He had to unwind, man. He had to unwind a little bit. It's a cut scene from that.
That's okay.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I remember my first time shaving. He cut his little nick. Dude didn't even have any stubble to shave anyways. I'm talking about the drip of the water, how it kind of pulled right behind his foot. They kept toying with it a little bit before he even fell. The water was right behind the heel of his foot. Missed it. And then the choking on the wire with the blood shooting straight to his eyes, and then go completely red, was an insane visual. Just standing ovation on that one.
Go ahead, Brian.
So when the FBI agents come in there, this is what Dustin was talking about. You can really tell right here that this was an X-Files episode for sure. If you watched X-Files, that Scully was the skeptic and Mulder was the believer, and you can really tell in this scene right here that they kept their dialogue basically and just kind of spread it between the two of them, because at times, Agent Wine and Agent Shrek are both the skeptic and, the believer at the same time. So you can really kind of tell, in this one what Dustin was talking about. Honestly, whenever I thought it was honestly a really powerful few scenes when they were at home and there were no dialogue and they were just watching the newscast about the plane crashing. And it's just like, it really puts you, to me anyway, it put me in their shoes, with like classmates dying. Like, it really made you feel a certain way there. Honestly, and props to Claire too. I noticed she's the only one to actually thank Alex for not letting them die. Everybody else is a complete asshole to him, but props to Claire for actually saying thank you to the guy for once.
You seem kind of biased towards Ali Larter. I don't know.
Well,
I too am biased towards Ali Larter.
Sorry.
I've ever been biased towards Ali Larter. Anyway, on to the first death there. I know it gets old, but at least in this first kill with Todd, I really like how it keeps throwing you off as an audience member with the misdirection. You die, but it's not going to tell you how that easily, and you're finally rewarded with a pretty cool kill, I thought. Honestly, probably the most realistic looking kills of all. Just like seeing Todd's eyes turn red and stuff. I really actually liked this one. And one last little thing I'll notice, and I got this off like nme.com, I believe. But if you notice, they had like that black shadow behind Todd for the first time. And a little fun fact is that, because at this point in the movie, and Dustin talked about it being kind of a hodgepodge of stuff, but at this point they weren't sure whether they were going to make Death a quote unquote figure or not. And I mean, I'm honestly glad they didn't go that route, because to me it kind of had that 1990 Ghost, Demi Moore, Patrick Swayze feel to it, which honestly that movie used to scare the shit out of me when I was a little kid. But it was because of those little shadows. Not that part necessarily.
That's Brian's next movie, guys. That's Brian's next movie.
All right, I'm good. I'm done.
Go ahead, Mike.
Okay, so right off the bat, Nico, you said exactly my thoughts. These kids died in a plane crash, and they used a fucking eagle statue as their memoriam. Cool, awesome, great idea, guys. Anyway, that's a side note. I'm not a fan of the plot where we make Alex look like he's committing these. I think it would have been a cool movie to have it be where it all looked like coincidence. Maybe it was all happening in Alex's head. That's a different movie. That's a different topic for a different day. So just on the movie, like I feel like this is in a lot of movies where we're gonna make it look like him, where everyone in the town thinks it's him except Ali Larter. God bless her. But we know as an audience it's not. Like I like that in some movies, but in this movie it just didn't hit with me. Like I feel like it would have been more, like it would have been better and more fleshed out if they just, I don't know, it just didn't hit with me, I guess. But Todd's death I really like. Outside of the Space Jam goo where it fills up the basketball and the Monstars touch it and they hulk up. Outside of the little blue goo there, that I love that death. I think it's a good kill. It's I won't say it's logical, but I think how he dies is logical. Choking, eyes get bloodshot. You're not, it's not like his hand explodes or anything crazy like that. Like, I think it's at least a logical death. And I mean, we get like an under the ass shot while he's taking a shit, which is kind of weird and a stupid direction choice, but whatever. I had a feeling he would be the first. Like the first time I ever saw this movie, I had a feeling that he would be the first to go. Like it just kind of played out like that in my mind. So I think the kill is good. I'm not a huge fan of we're going to make Alex look like a killer plot. It just didn't hit with me. But and fuck these people for having an eagle statue, you idiots.
Go ahead, Dustin.
All right, so I want to start by saying that if you've never seen this film and you watch this film in 2020, you're going to be confused. Because anyone that stands up on an airplane and says, this plane's going to blow up, after 9/11, they're not going to get just a questionnaire by the cops.
I'm glad you said that. This movie could not have been made past
a year later. A year later,
this movie would not have been made and released. No way.
So Devin Sawa would have got a one-way ticket to Gitmo had this movie been just a little bit later. But second of all, Detective Wayne, man, that guy must have really wanted to be a cop growing up. You ever notice that there's certain actors that
He's always a cop or a principal.
he's always a cop, honestly, kind of like Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence has been a cop in a lot of movies. But anyway,
Donnie Wahlberg.
Donnie Wahlberg is a great fucking cop, though.
By the way, there's Agent Donkey, which I forgot to mention. Donkey.
There's Shrek and Donkey.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I mean, you guys did a great job of breaking down these scenes. The only other thing I have to add is that they did try too hard again to make Carter this obnoxious character. Like, come on, bro, you're gonna start a fight almost with one of your classmates that survived this tragedy at the wake for the classmates that you're remembering. When he started arguing in line, it's like, bro, what are you doing? Calm down. Like, no one's that much of a dick. And then the whole I'm never gonna die. That was corny to me.
It was.
I decide my fate.
I mean, plus going back to the plane, Carter, like, what? I mean, if somebody's screaming like that, whether they're, you know them, your classmate or not, you're gonna get up and try to fight them on the plane. Why?
Right.
You're just gonna be like, bye, have fun, see ya. But you're not gonna get up and try to fight the dude right there.
Yeah. And I feel like this movie. Okay, so one of those things that like parents have that they like to throw in kids' faces when they're going through their teenage years is, oh, you just think you're bulletproof. You think you're never gonna die. Blah blah blah. That's one of those things that is a older generation metaphor that they didn't need to include in this film's dialogue. So when Carter's saying that shit, like, I'm never gonna die, like, fuck out of here. Like, that just came across as corny and forced to me. Let's see, let me pull it up here. The only other thing that I have was just playing off of what you guys said about how you could tell there were so many hands in the pot as far as the death figure, whether death was going to be an actual presence in this film or just a metaphor, something they're trying to evade. I feel like they should have went one way or the other. If you're going to have the death shadow that you see in Todd's death, you should have it in the airplane. You should have it in all the other deaths. But if you're not going to have it in the airplane, the initial death, then don't have it in any of them. There's no point in having it, and I think 2 of the deaths, but not the other 3 besides the airplane. We're not going to count the airplane because there was like 280 of them that died.
279 deaths or some shit.
Yeah, so of the 5 actual people that die in this film, if you're going to have the death shadow be ominous and be present, have it in all of them or have it in none of them. The only other thing I'll have before I'll pitch back to you, Nico, is that so when he's sitting in his room and the Hustler magazine shred comes onto his lap and it lands on his leg and he looks at it and says Todd. So Todd, spelled with 1 D, is actually the German word for death. So that was a cool little fun fact that the filmmakers put in there. That's one of the things that I'm glad they didn't over-explain. They didn't allude to it. They didn't even mention it. That's just one of those things that you have to look up or you have to know the German language beforehand to appreciate. But the fact that TOD is the German word for death is beautiful. That's all I got.
Okay, that's good stuff. I had no idea. Next scene, Alex goes to Clear's house. Asks why she was at Todd's. She tells him she felt his emotions from the plane, and she knows that feeling is still with him. She asks, what if Todd is just the first? Alex and Clear sneak into the morgue. They find Todd's body. Candyman comes out and is cool with them sneaking in. No big deal. We get some dialogue from him about when death is coming back around to him. He tells Alex, I'll see you soon. That's what the morgue guy tells him. The two go to have coffee and talk about their chat with Candyman, and he shows her the Todd piece of paper. He gets a glimpse of the bus on the window. He asks, what if we avoided death and it's after them? Carter causes Billy to wreck his bike in traffic. Carter and Alex argue again. And then, out of nowhere, Terry walks out in the middle of the street and is killed by a bus. Pretty intense and pretty fast. Alex and Cleo are drinking a seltzer drink. He avoids their call. Alex sees a potential cause of explosion and uses it. He uses it kind of like as a path on the plane of where they were all sitting, and that's the order of their deaths. Now to Miss Luton's house. She's on the phone. She sees Alex walking outside. She calls Agent Shrek. Alex is caught by the police and taken with them. A gust of wind comes through her house. The police take him to the station. He says he thinks Miss Luton is next. She puts on a record, John Denver. Alex says he saved 6 lives and everyone treats him like a freak. We see a dark shadow reflection on Luton's tea kettle. She puts it on the stove and seems paranoid. She cautiously lights the burner. Alex leaves the station. Miss Luton throws hot water on the floor. She pours vodka on the rocks in the same mug and the cup cracks a little bit. Some liquid drips into her computer monitor. She sees it starting to smoke. And then it like explodes and it shoots shrapnel into her throat. Alex walks home and sees leaves burning. Miss Luton falls down and tries to grab a towel, but pulls down her knife block and the knives stab her. Alex shows up and sees her there. The oven explodes and a kitchen chair drives the knife deeper into her chest. He pulls the knife out of her, leaving fingerprints and footprints at the scene. He runs out as the house explodes and Billy is there. Alex takes off running. Brian, do you want to go first on that, man?
Yeah, sure. I kind of got a lot here. I don't. First of all, I don't really understand like the plot or the part where Todd's parents blame Alex because I guess it's in the script, but to me it could have been cut because it's very weird. Like and it's also very weird that Alex and Claire and everybody just like hide in the woods and look super suspicious. I thought that was kind of poorly written too. The Candyman scene in the morgue, I called him Candyman in my notes too. Like that to me, this whole scene means nothing. Like I have no idea why they even have this scene in it. You break in the morgue and boom, there's Candyman. But I agree. What better person to give you this exposition, for the quote unquote rules of the movie than Candyman himself? But I'm not always a fan of this like in movies at all. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it seems like lazy ass writing and a lazy way to get the rules across to the audience. And to me, that's this errs on the side of lazy to me. Also, let me just stop here because I got this in my notes because it was kind of distracting to me as I watch this movie and say Kerr Smith, the guy that plays Carter in this movie, looks almost identical in this movie to me as Chris Evans in Not Another Teen Movie. That's all. Every time I saw him in this movie, I kept thinking it was Chris Evans from Not Another Teen Movie. So I just wanted to insert that there. And all right, so going back to the Candyman thing, see basically all this exposition that came up here between Claire and Alex sitting at that table, that's all you need. You didn't need any of the Candyman stuff. This is all you needed. Especially when in the next scene, Alex figures out the whole damn thing with the path of the fire anyway. So moving on to the death of Carter's girlfriend. To me, the bus hitting Carter's girlfriend is most memorable part of this film to me. It's unexpected because director James Wong like leads you to forget honestly like the premonition with the dialogue. Since Alex is bus foreshadowing whatever in the window, and then bam, I love it. And I know there's a little nitpick where there's actually, if you look in the direction the bus came, there's a little crane in the road, so there's literally no way a bus could have come that fast. But I don't care. Physics be damned. I really like that part. And all right, so to this next scene, come on. This is. I don't remember what other movie we reviewed where I like got to the point where I just wanted to see the guy die, and that's where I got to the point with Alex and this stuff. So like, you're just sitting outside of your teacher that already suspects you. You're looking like a murderer. I feel like he has completely poor life choices here. And sidebar, I had that exact same phone Miss Luton had, like when she was calling on her little portable phone, the exact same one in high school. And now that you know about like Scully and Mulder tidbit, that whole thing with X-Files, the scene where they start to actually believe Alex like makes a little bit more sense than if you were watching it without that knowledge, I think.
Right.
Finally to Miss Luton's kill, like I honestly think this kill to me was way too complicated. You had Carter's girlfriend get run over by a bus, and this one you skip the easy explosion from like lighting the oven on fire, which honestly would have rathered. than this convoluted kill. To me, like the mug was dripping way too much for her not to notice unless she was just completely already plastered. And so to me, like, spoiler alert, this is my least favorite kill of the whole movie. And, this is where I was at with Alex. Totally fucking moron. Like, this is the point where I just said, Jesus, kill this guy already, because I've had it with him. I mean, Devin Sawa, he can go. From pulling the knife out like a dumbass to leaving a footprint to running away from Stifler as they clearly witnessed him right there. Like, to me, I was just completely kill this guy already. Honestly, if I was one of his friends, I mean, I know you don't like that subplot of them thinking, kind of pinning it on him. But if I was one of his friends after all this bullshit, I would think that he did it too.
Go ahead, Drew.
So on mine here, I got broke it down. I put Hottie House / mortuary. I was like, the way she describes her sculpture to Alex, is it just me, or did she get really, really aroused during the whole little speech she gave to him?
It was fucking weird. I'm just gonna be honest, it was
talking,
weird.
The goo eyes, and just like,
if a girl did that shit to me, I'm out.
Also, did y'all notice when they broke into the mortuary at the bottom? Did y'all notice that they were using a hook?
Yeah.
To go through there.
Wonder why.
It's kind of ironic, before meeting Candyman. I loved how he ended it. He said, "I'll see you soon." I like that. And I'm with y'all. Like we were talking about, like how Carter, just hates Alex so much through this thing. It kind of throws me off the whole character for him. Like I'm like, dude, get the fuck over it. He saved your life. And then I was like, bam, she gone. And then we'll go to the only notes I really took is I'm with Brian on this one. This death here was not, it didn't do a lot for me. I was like, no, you don't ever pull something out that's deep embedded in your throat. And then I was like, she's wrong again. Worst choice of a compression towel to reach for in the whole house. I was like, then the chair knocks the knife all the way in. Sheesh. So wow, again, don't pull it out, dummy. Now you're gonna get pinned for this. And that's all I got.
Well, to be fair, Beth in the descent got stabbed right through the neck with an axe and survived. So a little computer shrapnel's nothing. Go ahead, Dustin.
So yeah, this next group of scenes really further drives home the fact that there's just too much going on with the direction of this film.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole scene where they go to Clear's cabin and she's got this weird ass, metal sculpture shrine in her garage. I really feel like that had to be something that there was a bigger scheme for, there had to be bigger plans for that scene than what was actually laid out in front of us, because what the fuck? That was weird to me. But then you go forward to the scene where they're at the cafe and the four of them are sitting and talking. I don't know. It just seemed another like forced scene. Like it didn't really make sense in the grand scheme of things with the character development and the character arcs that we've seen. But it did provide us with a incredible death with Carter's girlfriend Terry, when Terry got hit by the bus. That was one of the better done deaths in the movie because of the surprise factor. Then you fast forward to Miss Luton. I will never forgive the filmmakers for this because Miss Luton called me sometimes, but you can't take her from me. You can't take her from me. She was a dime plus 99, and then, but yeah, they turn Alex into a dumbass. Like you said, why are you gonna bust in the house, grab the knife from her chest, look at it and drop it, and then just run back out? Like, you're leaving too much of it. If you're trying to clear your name, it doesn't make sense. If I run in that house and I'm trying to save her, I'm either burning up in that bitch with her, or I'm taking all the evidence out with me so I can get rid of it. Fun fact about that scene, I mentioned to you guys before we started recording. So the way that they recorded that scene, I thought was pretty well done because they didn't use CGI as far as the knife going into her. What they actually did was they used, they had Miss Luton underneath a layer of flooring with a replica body on top of it. And so her head was poking up from it, and her arms were poking up from it. But the body that you saw was not actually her body. It was a model body, a silicone body. And so when the chair fell on top of her and it knocked the knife down deeper into her, that's how they were able to make that look so realistic, is because the knife actually did go deeper into it. I thought that was really well done. For the year 2000, that's about as good as you could do a stab scene. But overall, I mean, you got a couple more bodies to the death count, and you got a couple more. You got a little bit more suspense built to the whole story arc or storyline of, is Alex going to get pinned down for all these murders or all these deaths? I thought it was a solid chunk of the movie here.
So, like the rest of the movie, there's some good and some bad here. I like the Tony Todd appearance. I was kind of hoping he'd be a bigger role in the movie, but
Right.
neither here nor there. But I like his usage. I think just because his voice is so fucking iconic.
Yeah.
He's not even trying to be Candyman, and he's just still Candyman. Like, it's just the way it is. Tony Todd has a great voice. Just awesome. So, and I like his little "see you soon." I was kind of hoping that it would mean he was going to be here later, but what he meant was you're all going to be dead, or he thought they were all going to be dead, so he'll see you soon. So I thought that was kind of cool. I like Carter's girlfriend's death. It is sudden the first time you see it. You're not really, because you're expecting them to either take out Carter or somebody else. She's almost an irrelevant character at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So to see her die so suddenly by the bus, I think it's well done. It's well shot. It caught me off guard, and the first time I ever saw it, it actually got me to jump, which is hard to do. So I will give them credit for that. I'm going to spoil a fun fact here now. The test audiences for this movie were so hyped off that scene. They went back and put in 40 extra seconds of movie where they're making their Alka-Seltzer to calm the audience down off of that after the test screening. So the reason they're making fucking headache medicine is because that bus kill, the test audience almost overreacted to it. They're like, okay, we got to bring him down to bring him back up again. So I thought that was kind of cool. Good death. Probably one of my favorite deaths in the franchise, at least, just because I have such a nostalgia for it, and it caught me off guard the first time I ever saw it. Okay. Teacher death. Y'all sugarcoated this. It sucks ass. It fucking blows. It's illogical. It doesn't make sense. There's a lot of shit that doesn't fit with what's going on in the movie. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of this. I've already said I'm not a fan of this. Let's make Alex look guilty plot. And I'm kind of with Brian. Like, damn, you're really not helping yourself. Like, I kind of wish he would have died and somebody else carried on this franchise. Stan, I need you to drive a car over a bridge. Hope your baby mama's not in the trunk, because I want him bye-bye. Like, I want him gone. So, like you said, pulling that thing from the neck, and then she just happens to pull the knives down with the towel. I'm like, this death sucks. It is probably my least favorite, and I've seen all but the very last one. It's probably my least favorite in the franchise. Like, it bugs me because I feel like up to this point, all the kills have been logical. Like, she steps in front of a bus, that shit happens. Like, fucking Regina George did that shit. So, and then you have, the kill in the bathroom. I'm just not a fan, and I hate to bring logic into it because, god damn it, it's not logical. But it just bugs the fuck out of me. I'm sorry. I don't think it's a good kill. It doesn't come across good. The effects are good. I'll give them that. But there's a lot of stuff in here, like you guys mentioned, that just doesn't fit. It's a hodgepodge. But overall, I mean, it didn't drag the movie down for me or anything. Like, I still wanted to watch the rest of the movie, but it just that death didn't work for me.
All right, the two agents are talking to Clear, saying to avoid Alex. Carter almost hits Billy again. Clear wants Carter to take her to Alex. Carter threatens to kill Billy if he doesn't stop talking on the car ride. They split up to find Alex. Clear finds Alex. Clear tells Alex of her dad's death in a 7-Eleven, and she hates her stepdad. They ask Alex if they know if Luton was next, and they ask who's next of them. Carter starts to drive like a madman. Alex sees a train reflection in the window. He stops the car on the train tracks. The other three get out of the car. The car won't crank and he can't get out his seatbelt and the door's locked. Alex pulls him out as the train hits the car. Billy Billy says he's avoiding Carter, but he gets his head cut in half by a piece of metal thrown up by the train. Instead of being concerned about Billy, Alex hypothesizes he can change the death sequence. I really thought that was funny. They leave to Clear's cabin. He's making the house safe as possible. He puts corks on spiky things. He duct tapes everything else. He's just dummy proofing this house. He's eating cat food with gloves on. I wrote WTF fam with a question mark beside it.
Yeah, that doesn't fucking.
A gust of
address
wind
that now.
comes in the house. Two fishing rods open a closet door, but Alex stops the door opening. I wrote, he's just losing. He's slipping into madness. Back to Clear's house, the cops are watching it. She tells them she'll go with them to get Alex. He has epiphany. He never moves seats. Lightning strikes a power pole at Clear's house. The police show up at the cabin Alex is at. He rows away in a canoe. The power line is about to hit the dog, so Clear goes outside. Police chase Alex through the woods. Alex falls down a hill and almost impales his face. The pool empties water all over Clear's yard. Clear climbs up the side of the house. Alex gets unstuck from under this tree that fell on him, and he somehow didn't die from that. All the light bulbs are blowing up in Clear's house as he runs through the hallway. She jumps in the car and backs out the garage. The car dies. Alex runs up and sees her stuck in the car. He grabs a shovel and tries to hit the electrical wire. He grabs the wire. Clear jumps out of the car and it explodes, throwing him into the garage. And the police check on him. And I hope I got all that because there was a lot of shit going on all at one time there. Hey, Dustin, you want to give me your thoughts on that, man?
Yeah, real quick. Can I go back to something real quick?
Oh,
Go ahead,
here we
brother.
go.
That brother Mike said. You want to talk about logic?
Well,
Okay.
I'm not really talking. I even said it.
I know what you're saying, but they actually did an okay job of explaining the logic in Miss Luton's death because you have a cold beverage in a glass and then a hot beverage in a glass
I
that's going to
understand.
crack it.
Right.
Where they failed was that, and this is very typical in movies, liquor is not really flammable.
Right.
Vodka, at least. Because that shit's got to be, that proof has got to be way up there for it to be flammable. So I don't think that was as irrational a death as what you led to believe, because I could see how, some of the stuff that I drink, some Bacardi, if you give me some 151 rum, that shit's flammable.
It wasn't that.
It wasn't.
It was the knives falling, all the stuff falling on her to drive the knives in further. Like, it just didn't work for me.
Well, I mean, you're laying on, your throat's been cut and you're laying on the ground. You're going to reach up and grab a towel. I have thrown a towel over the knives in my kitchen.
Then I have too, but that still doesn't work for me, brother.
Okay. I'll let it go then, because I'm not going to change your mind on this. But going on to this scene, I do have an issue. I think that the scene where Carter is on the train tracks and he's like, fuck it, my mind's made up. I can't die. Like, oh my God, what a douchebag. Like, you've already played this part out. I can't die, I'm invincible. You've already played this out. But then I thought they did a good job, with Alex. He knew the seatbelt was going to break because he had the premonition again, and he pulls him out. The issue I have with that scene in particular was they showed the metal underneath the train too much.
Mm-hmm.
Too much. Because if they would have just shown a quick, the camera pans and you get a glimpse of the metal under the train, so it's there, but you don't think about it, and then Billy's head gets cut off. Oh my God, you're talking about shock factor through the roof. You're talking about cool aesthetics through the roof. You're talking about believability, credibility through the roof. But you played yourself. Congratulations. Because you showed James Wong, New Line, Bob, whoever's involved, you showed that piece of metal underneath the train a good 3 times before it sliced Billy's head off.
Right.
You diminished your own fucking, like you had the goose that laid the golden egg, but before it laid that golden egg, you had billboards up across all 50 states saying, "Hey, I've got a golden egg." You fucked yourself. So
Right.
anyway, that was my problem with that scene. Then you fast forward. What? A canoe?
I said the same thing. Fuck out of here, canoe.
A
At least give me
canoe?
a kayak or something.
You're evading the cops in a fucking canoe?
Yeah,
Like,
I wrote the same
okay,
shit.
okay.
I
I'm not
literally wrote
gonna.
a fucking canoe with a question mark. Right
Yeah,
here.
right. Like that's funny. That's literally what I have wrote down is a fucking canoe question mark. That's funny. So the only other things I have about this group of scenes before we get into the rest is, that power line scene was pretty intense. He survived that? Like,
Right.
What? Fam grabbed a live power line.
Both exploded back. Like, what the fuck?
And, if you watch some deleted scenes or some behind the scenes footage, that wasn't the original plan. But that power line would have fucked up the mortal man. The only people that's living through that is Hercules and the immortal Hulk Hogan. Because
Brother.
if you're a mortal man, that's taking you out, brother. But anyway, it kind of, I have positive thoughts on this movie overall. But this sequence of scenes kind of diminished it a little bit because it could have been so much better. They didn't even have to change much. They just had to take some stuff out, if that makes any fucking sense. Like, less is more in this situation.
All right, before someone goes next, I just want to make 2 points. I think if like Dustin said, if they didn't show that piece of metal underneath the train at all, maybe, and just cut his head in half,
Yep.
that kill is every bit as shocking as the Terry kill. But
Yeah.
the bust would have been even better than what it was. And the second thing I want to say before I let someone else go is I kind of hated the whole the live power scene. I hated that shit. It was just horrible to me.
That power line chased those 2 kids.
It
Right,
was.
it was
I
very
hated
odd.
that shit.
Right,
Go ahead, Michael.
Right. Hey, everything you guys said is pretty much exactly what I have wrote down here. Like, had they not shown me what they were probably what the next kill was gonna be, like they made it really obvious. And so when Billy is killed, I'm not shocked. It's a good kill. Like a decapitation 9 times out of 10 when done correctly is a good kill. Like in Friday the 13th, when you go through the franchise rankings, like 9 times out of 10, the best kill in the movie is a good beheading. Like that's just the way it is. So when you get to this, you see it coming, and it first of all, I'm a Sean William Scott fan because I'm a huge American Pie guy. Stifler's my favorite character. So I'm like, man, this sucks. But nah, like Dustin said, they play out where Carter's just such an ass. But we get it. He's a dick. You don't have to continue to hammer this point home, at least not in my opinion. And so it kind of convolutes the plot where they have to, if he saves him, well, it skips him and goes to the next person. Like, I don't know. It just gets a little convoluted in my opinion. And like Nika said, this whole, power line scene or whatever, it's a lot. I don't hate it like he does. I think it's intense. It's got some really good moments and decent acting from both characters. But man, you're not wrong. Both of these motherfuckers would die from this. Like, come on, man. Like, Stan and Ali Lardo would have been. I'm gonna keep calling him Stan because he's fucking Stan in Eminem's music video. But Stan and Ali Lardo, that have been dead. And if you know, that was the original. I'll save it for fun facts if nobody else has it. But yeah, I don't even hate Carter. Like, I know they want me to hate Carter, but I don't hate Carter because they're almost over the top with it. I hate Alex more, so that's kind of where I am in this movie. But I don't have anything to add to what you guys already said. So, again, like the rest of the movie, some good and some bad. So,
Yeah, this movie was the ending was kind of screamish. It was just too damn long to me. Go
I
ahead,
agree.
Drew.
I agree.
With mine, I'm just like, dude, Carter loses his shit and just YOLOs it through the streets. Just says, fuck it. I said I really enjoyed the intensity of it, even though it probably went a little bit longer than it could have should have been. I was like, the timing of when he calms down, they're like, hey, stop this car right now, and then he stops, and then boom, here comes the choo-choo train. I love the I love the you're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're not taking me with you. Hi, you're dead. Head off, just gone. I love that ending there. The notes I got written for Alex on the house, I said, daggone Alex rigging this home, preparing for death, like death design, like Kevin did in Home Alone. I couldn't tell if it was cat food. I think they kind of insinuated it was, but I was like, looks like cat food. I can't tell. But then after his facial reaction, I was like, oh yep, definitely cat food, definitely cat food. I thought they could have. I was like thinking when he slams the door and the hook or whatever, and he's losing his mind in the house, and I was just like, imagine if it instead they just went like when he went to slam the door after calling death a fuck. If that knife that went through the door went through his hand when he slammed it, I would have died laughing. The other ones I got here is the lamp going out is Death trolling him, saying, "Bingo, you fuck, your new girl is next." The roll down the hill with Alex, talk about a close one. And then on top of it, a whole ass tree falls on him. And then he's like somehow just squeezes just enough to get out, before he goes under. At the house with the electricity and all the others, this girl, whoever put their gutters up, put that thing in strong, because that is the strongest gutters I have ever seen in my life.
Yep.
Just hanging
Right.
and dangling. What she might be like, what, $1.25, $1.30, just hanging from some gutters, and it's just not going down nowhere. I like the cinematography, as like she's running through the house to get to the car. Like, you got the shit popping left, right, and then it's just it's a good little sequence that she goes there. The last things is that, golly, why did they put in Claire? You know what to do. I won't let it be both of us. I'll always be with you. Jesus Christ, do not put that in there. Lame dialogue. I hated that.
Well, not only is that lame dialogue, Drew, but God, I mean, they talked for like way too long. They had like a 20-minute conversations in there right before they were both about to get electrocuted. And let me give my totally non-biased opinion on how amazing the Ali Larder performance was.
She was good though. She was good here.
On her when she was talking about her dad, on the beach with Alex. Like, that was an amazing performance. I just wanted to know, that's Oscar worthy. That was so good right there.
Oscar worthy.
I don't know about all that.
Okay, so, and I almost hate to nitpick it because of how much we've talked about the problems this thing had behind the scenes, but I was kind of confused with the how Alex got the vision of the seatbelt. So he's getting visions on how death is going to happen, every other time, but this time he gets a vision of the seatbelt before the train, right? Like, I don't get it, because he gets a vision of almost like how to prevent it now, so he could pull him from the car. So, I mean, I guess it was almost like death was in the saving game at that moment. So that's what I didn't really understand, because none of the other ones was like, him. I mean, he got little hints or whatever, but this one was legitimately going out of the way to show him, all right, this is how you can save him. So I don't know. That was a little confusing to me. The cabin scene. I mean, the only thing I've got written down about this cabin scene is how I'm just ready for Alex to die at this point. And by the way, like, the cops could have easily. You talk about how shitty the canoe was. I just was sitting there going, why are they just not running out there and grabbing him and grabbing the canoe? Because it's like 2 feet from the shore. So I just thought that was kind of hilarious.
Right.
And the last little, I guess it's almost like a suggestion, because, I wrote a little bit something down about how Alex and Claire had way too long of a conversation there at the end. But, I would, if you're going to give credence to that Tony Todd character and the whole scene at the beginning, have Alex die here. And then, how it almost shows almost like a vision. It almost kind of seems like, all right, well, Alex is dead and he's having some kind of vision. like have Tony Todd there, like, you know, maybe kind of insinuating that he's more than just, you know, a corner, that it's almost like some sort of supernatural death character. I don't know, something. I felt like it would have just been better. But, or, you know, then again, I'm just kind of bitter, I guess, because Alex lived through the whole thing.
All right, here's the last thing. 6 months later, Carter, Alex, and Clear go to Paris. They're at dinner having a drink. They have a toast for their lost friends. Alex says he can't figure out the death design. He wants to know why it skipped him. Alex starts seeing things again, and he tells them he's going to go back to the hotel. He's almost hit by a bus as he walks away. Carter tackles Alex to save him from being hit by a sign that's falling and about to hit him. And then Alex says death just skipped him. Another sign hits Carter as he asks, well, who's next? I don't think my breakdown of that really lives up to how it actually happened, but I'll let y'all emphasize it. Go ahead, Mike. The final scene, brother.
Okay. So I like this. I think it's good because if they had the original ending, which I'll get to in the fun facts, I'd have been really pissed off. They kind of hinted at it in Final Destination 2, but that would have left me on some blue balls. I like this. I like that we get them a little bit later. We have some survivors. I like that they kind of made them even look a little different. So, you know, some stuff has happened since the time, and they make it. What I don't like is it's very obvious who's dying here. Like, out of the three, it's very, very, very obvious who's getting killed off here, which I'm okay with. Like, well, I'm not okay with it being so obvious, but I'm okay with Carter dying. And I think it's a good kill. I mean, they don't show it, so it's an off-screen kill, but I mean, I kind of wish they had. If this had been 10 years later, they would have shown that, and it would have been a fucking brutal kill. So, nothing outstanding about it, but I mean, I enjoy it. I think, like I said, you almost saw it coming from the very minute screen fades, they come back, somebody's dying, and they're not killing off Ali Larter's character. They're probably not killing off Alex, unfortunately. So the process of elimination there. I like that they make it to Paris. That's kind of cool. But yeah, I mean, nothing good I mean, nothing great, but I didn't hate the final scene at all.
Go ahead, Drew.
So really the only thing I really have on the end scene, I liked it. I liked how, you know, they went across and then they all changed, like the hairstyles, their hair color changed, and you know they're all matchy, the new couple, you know, all matching with their blonde hair. Really all I put on there is I liked how he's just like, I told you you were next. I told you it skipped me. He's, you know, he's over there celebrating like Alex was when he finally figured out how Death's plan was to be averted or whatever, and then, you know, who's next, and then great end, and I'm not mad at it at all. It could, like Mike said, it was super obvious. There's no way around that he was going to be the guy that goes out.
Yeah, I think that loose power line scene kind of hurt this to me. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so Mike talked a little bit about how they look different, but that was kind of not on purpose because they had a few different endings. They had a few different endings in this movie or whatever, and they had to go back and do reshoots. So yeah, for sure.
It cost millions of dollars to reshoot these fuckers too. Like, golly.
Hey, one thing I will say is fuck these guys because they toasted everybody but Stifler. I did not see them toast Hitchcock at all. They toasted everybody else, but they left that Joker out. So fuck them. So there's actually alternate ending in this film. And I was talking about it a little bit later, but I'll go ahead and say it now. But where Alex, you know, goes to save Clear from the wire that was meant to explode the car she was in, and he was caught on fire and died. And since he was killed, despite the design he was supposed to die in, they defeated death, leaving Carter and her to live the rest of their lives together. She was later revealed to be pregnant, and the caller said, like, Alexander Chance Browning, insinuating that Alex was supposed to be the father of the child. However, like, at the very end, the shadow that represents death would be seen in the room with her, and that just insinuated that since there's no longer an innocent life inside of her, that, you know, she can die now. You know, I think this ending is better, but, you know, I wish it would have been Alex getting killed just because his character pissed me off beyond my limit for stupidity in the movie.
Okay. So my thoughts on the end of this film was, yeah, I agree with you, Brian. Like the previous scenes took away from it for me, just because of the things they botched. But also, don't insult our intelligence. Like if you're gonna say that they went to Paris and it's years later, months later, whatever, give us the nameplate. Give us the text on screen that says 6 months later, 1 year later,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah, right.
Because this, I swear to God, when I rewatch this, I don't know if you guys like John Mulaney, stand-up comedian. So in one of his stand-ups, he says that he revisited this doctor's office 6 months later, and he was wearing glasses to show that time had passed. And that was like the punchline of that joke. That's how I felt with this. Because
Yeah.
they all have different hair, and it's just to show us that it's not immediately after. Don't insult our intelligence. Like, tell us, if nothing else. Okay. The other thing is that I hated Carter so much. Like they wanted to make him a dick to the point to where like I hated him, and it wasn't because he was supposed to be a dick. It's just because how hard they tried to make him a dick.
Yeah.
That I wanted a little bit of fucking vindication in his death. I wanted to see him die. The death that Billy Hitchcock got, that's the kind of death that Carter deserved. Don't fade to black as the sign supposedly hits him. But other than that, I thought that this was a good wrap up to the movie, a good bow on top to show us that you can't cheat death's design. It alluded to perhaps a sequel, which we found out, in 2003, I think it was, that we did get the sequel. I hated the fact that Alex, man, my guy, you're in Paris with a hot girl. Put your fucking flight plan away and get some ass. Like, don't be pulling out the seat plan talking about,
Same. Thank you.
don't be worrying about these wrong. You're focusing on the wrong details, my guy. But I didn't like that. But overall, I thought it was a nice, neat bow to tie on the top of a movie that I actually enjoyed. For all its flaws and all its shortcomings, I enjoyed the movie, and I thought the ending was a nice way to tie it all together and allude to something bigger.
Oh yeah, let's jump in the. You ready to jump into fun facts, guys?
Do it.
Let's do it.
Sure.
I'll go first. I only got two of them, and one of them we've already said throughout the review several times. The music played throughout the film was by John Denver, a musician who died in a plane crash. And the second one I have is Miss Luton's conversation with the co-pilot to let the teachers back on the plane was completely improvised. I thought that was really cool. Who else has some fun facts they want to read off?
I only have one.
I just got
Go ahead.
one.
Yeah, the only one I had was that Kirsten Dunst and Jessica Biel were actually both nearly cast for the role of Clear Rivers.
Yeah, I'm fine with Allie Larder.
Kirsten Dunst and who?
Jessica Biel.
Well, that would have been okay.
Yeah, Jessica Biel I'm fine with. Allie Larder greater than Kirsten Dunst though, so I like how it played out.
Hashtag facts.
As I watch Varsity Blues right now. Oh, sorry.
So the only fun fact that I have, because I sprinkled my fun facts in this entire episode, and I know I've kind of fucked y'all's rhythm up since I joined the cast.
I do it too.
Because I can't hold my fun facts to the end. I'm sorry, but the only other fun fact that I have that I haven't sprinkled in throughout this entire episode is that the cabin, so Clear's cabin, was actually the same cabin from the 1999 film Lake Placid. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, I thought it was going to be
Oh,
Cabin
that's cool.
Fever.
That's real cool.
The alternate ending we talked about where it would have been the fact that Allie Larder's character was pregnant and had a baby, and so this like Alex lived on to that. Like it was so fucking no, just a whole lot of no. They went with the right direction, thank God. They kind of hinted at that in Final Destination 2, so kind of lives on in spirit, I guess. But nah, like outside of that, I don't have a lot of fun facts other than stuff we've already talked about, like how fucking hodgepodge this movie was made. Like someone had a big movie stew and they put some carrots, and then this person comes along and puts some fucking chives and radishes and fucking beef and chick. Like it's got a bunch of fucking it's a movie soup. There's a lot of cooks in that kitchen, man. And again, for the third time, fuck you, Bob Shea. That's all I gotta say.
All right, let's jump into our best kill, worst kill, and rating. Dustin, this is your pick. Do you want to go first or last?
I'll go last.
All right, does anybody want to go first?
Fuck it, I'll go first. All right.
You're a little too eager. I don't know if I'm ready for this.
Okay, my favorite kill is Terry, the bus kill. I think I loved it the first time I saw it, so now I have a lot of nostalgia for it. Again, it's not like some like excellent horror movie kill that has all these effects and stuff like that, but just that wham hits with a bus. I fucking love that kill. It would be Billy had it not been told to me ahead of time that kill was coming. Because again, a decapitation when done properly is fucking awesome in a horror movie. So my my least it's almost a toss up between Teacher and Carter. I'm gonna go Carter because you don't see it, which like Dustin said, I wanted to see him die. Like if you're gonna make him this huge fucking douchebag, let's kill him properly. And they didn't do that. It was an off-screen kill almost. I guess money or something. I don't know. So I'm gonna go Carter as my least favorite kill. My rating is a flat 7. Like it's a fun watch. It's not something I'm gonna like. It's not the Final Destination movie that I go back and revisit that much. That would be Final Destination 2, which I like a lot more. But it's a good movie. It's got a lot of shit in it that doesn't really fit. So it kind of I have a fun time with it, but it's not. It doesn't have that pull for me where I can pop it in and watch it anytime. Like for this, or if I'm ever like, fuck it, let's binge the whole series, I'd be fine with popping it in. Like I don't hate the movie experience, but it's just it's a flat 7 for me.
All right, I'll go next. Best kill to me, I picked Billy. I wrote it was gory and it was believable, even though it was teased a lot with the showing the metal underneath the train. I still like the kill the best. The worst kill, I picked Miss Luton. All I wrote was it was way too extra for me. It took way too damn long. I hated it, honestly. Rating 6.5. A new concept. It's a fun watch. The concept that death just follows a group is hard to believe, but it's a movie. The kills are extravagant, almost to a fault. A lot of people say Saw films competed with each other in their traps. And to me, Final Destination, the kills with death definitely do that. They compete as the series goes on. This is an entertaining movie. None of these movies are bad to me, but none of the movies would be above a 7 to me. I think that pretty much peaks out for the Final Destination. Is there probably a 7? I haven't seen the last one, but I think I've seen all the other.
Me too.
1 through. Was there 6 of them? I think I've seen 1 through 5 or whatever. So I mean, it's got 6 films in the franchise, so it's obviously doing something right. But
right,
this is just one of those fun watch kind of franchises. It's not really a slasher you get behind, or The Conjuring. You fall in love with Patrick and Vera. It's just a fun movie to burn up an hour and a half. It's not bad. It's worth a watch, and it's on Netflix. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. It's fine. So my favorite kill was Hitchcock as well. My least favorite kill was Mrs. Luton. And like I actually classify this movie as a slasher film, but I kind of look at the slasher as an invisible entity, basically. And me and Mike and Nico talked a touch about this last week, but this movie came out right in 2000, like right at the end of the very meta slasher era in the 90s. And honestly, I thought it was a breath of fresh air. It was a lot of fun. Like you said, it was a good time to go to the movies and kill 2 hours and take your girlfriend and not have some big serious movie. So it was cool. I liked how it used the whole slasher motif to do something different with it. So I had a ton of continuity errors and plot holes and bullshit and whatnot, and they didn't kill Alex. But it's fun. It's fun. I enjoyed it. I gave it a 6.75. Actually, I was trying to go between 6.5 and 7, and I seemed like just wanted to hit it right in the middle.
Go ahead, Drew.
That's what she said.
For me, favorite kill, Carrie and the bus kill, obviously. And then worst kill was the hot teacher. Just I don't know. It could have been so much better. I like this movie. I like the franchise, like I said at the beginning of it. But if I'm looking for like a horror movie just to pop in and watch for like an hour and a half, hour 45, this is definitely not going to be one of them. I mean, if it happens to be on, and I just scroll by and I'm at the beginning of it. Okay, I'll probably watch it if I got an hour and a half or so to kill.
Right.
But I ranked it a 7. It's a good watch. I don't feel like I wasted my time if I'm watching it. So 7 seemed perfect for me.
Okay. So that leaves me. Okay. So first of all, the favorite kill, Billy Hitchcock. For the things that I found wrong with that scene, it still was the best kill because
Great kill.
it had the most gore of any kill in the movie, but also the visual effects as far as someone getting their head cut off from the chin up in the year 2000, like that was
No, it's really good.
brilliantly done. Okay. My least favorite kill, it's not a secret, it was Carter. I needed something more gratifying, something more fulfilling as far as the death of that douchebag. But as far as the movie goes, okay, so a couple things. Number one, if you want to look at this, is it a slasher? Is it not? Take that and put it to the side for a second because suspend belief. Take this movie as someone like if you want to think about it from a free thinker standpoint, from a conspiracy theorist standpoint, if you will. This movie really makes you challenge the concept of can you evade death? And that's why I dislike the fact that they put the shadowy figure in there, because I really think that if they'd have left it as if it's your time to go, it's your time to go, and you can't avoid it, I think that it would have made this movie even better. And then you pair that with the fact that, it's not this person that you're evading. It's not this, predictable outcome. It's that death's going to come for you whenever and however it'll get to you. I thought this movie was really good. And as far as enjoyability, I will rewatch this movie all day. I think this movie is enjoyable. I think that it has a good rewatchability. Now, again, I deducted points because of the too many hands in the stove or in the pot, and there's too many moving directions, too many moving parts to make it cohesive. Overall, though, I give this movie a 7.5 because here it is 20 years later, and I rewatched it 3 times in the past weekend. I enjoy the shit out of this movie because death as a being, or death as an outcome versus death as a being, it just seems plausible in my mind. You can't cheat your time to come. It's going to come for you in the craziest scenarios if you beat it the first time. I thought that it was well done. It was ahead of its time. It was innovative, and I thought it was well done.
Let me ask you a question, Dustin.
Yeah.
If this is a good comparison.
Yeah.
The Final Destination franchise is kind of like watching Louisiana, Lafayette, and Hawaii play at midnight on Saturday, and it's like 70 to 63.
No.
It's not good football, but it's entertaining. Is that a good comparison?
For me, it is.
No.
That's the way I view it.
No.
But I also love those late games.
No.
I know I'll be staying up till 4 in the morning to be catching
Well,
up.
that's what I got.
The game that you just described is if I were gonna watch I don't know, Dream Child, but this movie.
Ooh,
Yeah.
This movie is
No,
substantially better than Dream Child.
Not Dream Child, Dream Warrior. This is
Fuck out of here. You're
The
trying
game-
to get at me. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm not
You
trying
are-
to get you. I'm not trying to get you.
Fuck out of
The
here,
game
headband.
that you just described is a Dream Warrior.
You are
This
insane.
This
Dream
movie.
Warrior is 20 times the film of this movie.
No. You're talking about a Saturday night Mountain West or Pac-12 football game that has no implications on anything. This movie is like your It's like your MAC championship game. It's like your Toledo versus, it's like the championship game to get,
We've lost everybody right now.
Dream Warriors is the SEC title game compared to this movie, which is the
fuck out of here.
which is the fucking MAC title game. Fuck out of here. Dream Warriors is 20 times the movie this movie is.
Hey, Dustin.
You're lucky I was as nice to it
Yeah.
as I was.
Yeah.
Hey, Dustin, I did catch something that, in your defense, because Nico said, this franchise must be doing something right because it had 6 movies. There's another franchise that I believe had, more than 6 movies? Was it Hellraiser, I believe?
Now,
And
by
Nico
the way,
likes
that's the Hawaii game right there. That's sorry ass
Exactly.
franchise.
Hey,
Nico
let
likes
me
to
ask
shit
you.
on.
Let me ask you a question. Every single Final Destination made it to the theater. Hellraiser,
That's true,
how many
that's
straight?
true.
How many?
Yes.
How many of them went straight to
Yes.
the $3.99 bin at Walmart?
Okay, so that's like your Tuesday night football game. That's like
Garbage franchise.
No, fuck it. We're off the rails. Fuck
Yeah,
y'all.
we're off. Okay.
Okay, has anybody got any final thoughts on Final Destination?
My final thought is that Mike has a Final Destination the next time I see him. Okay,
You're
sorry.
not gonna do shit because tonight when you go to bed, Freddy's gonna visit you like he does in Dream Warriors. You fucking asshole.
Anyway,
Hey, shout out to Tony Todd for finally playing a good character.
Oh my god. Hey.
Dustin, seriously though, I really enjoyed watching this movie. Honestly, I watched it twice this week myself, and I've already seen it. I enjoyed it. Really wouldn't mind doing another one of these movies, honestly, because it's got some really cool. I mean, it's got moments in the franchise that are really memorable. The log truck, the tanning bed death. That shit was. I remember that shit from my senior year or junior year in high school. That kill was awesome.
Well, if we're going to do Final Destination 2, you're going to have to prepare me because I'm not really prepared for Ali Larter's death in that movie. Just spoiler alert. I've got to prepare myself a little bit for that.
All right, we'll hold off on that one then. I had fun watching this. I think we all had fun reviewing it.
Yep.
We really appreciate the support. And next week is Brother Drew's pick. You want to say what it is, brother? Or do you want me to say it?
We're going with the crazies. The crazies.
the crazies.
Looking forward to it.
That is the remake,
Hey.
correct? Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that film is on Amazon if I'm not
Amazon
mistaken,
Prime
right?
for
Amazon
free.
Prime. So
You
we
can
can
watch
all
it.
watch
I
it
went
and we
by
can
the
all
other
get
day.
prepared. Okay.
Let's go, baby.
Sounds good. Appreciate the support, everyone. Y'all have a good night. And just want to remind everybody to don't go out there.